You knew it when the room was quiet, but not still when the air tightened, as if the field itself inhaled. Your heart did that small tilt, the frequency wandered, and suddenly your emotions were steering a vehicle you never learned to drive. That's how it happens, not with thunder, but with a slight drift. You call it losing control. The field calls it unobserved fluctuation. Listen. Every timeline has a signature, a geometry of probability humming beneath your choices. When your attention is scattered, the signatures collide, interference patterns rise, and your nervous system becomes a weather map for realities competing to be born. You aren't emotional for no reason. You are a sensitive instrument registering unmeasured waveforms. And until you hold the instrument with authority, the noise will keep choosing you. You've been told to raise your vibration. That's incomplete. Elevation without orientation is just a balloon in a crosswind. The hidden law is orientation first, elevation second. Orientation is the observer technique, your capacity to become the cold, luminous witness at the center of the spin. When you inhabit that place, your perception collapses chaos into coherence, like a laser carving order out of fog. This isn't metaphor. Coherence is not a mood, it's a measurable state. Heart rhythm, breath cadence, neuronal phase. Locking the body is a console, and your attention is the master dial. Notice what destabilizes you. It arrives as micro-hooks, a message that punctures your expectation, a memory that wasn't finished, the silent tension of someone else's timeline bleeding into your field. Each hook invites you to follow it outward, away from the axis. You chase, you tighten, you amplify, but the axis never moved. You left it. So tonight, you learn what the ancients knew and the physicists keep rediscovering. What you observe is not neutral. Observation is an energetic commitment. It binds power to pattern. The observer technique begins before the storm. You do not wait for panic to practice stillness any more than a pilot waits for lightning to learn the instruments. You prep the cockpit. First principle, posture of awareness. Imagine a clear vertical thread running from the base of your spine to a point far above your crown. You do nothing with it. You let it do with you. Second principle, breath as metronome, not medicine. You are not fixing feeling. You are setting tempo so the orchestra can tune. Third principle, label without litigation. A sensation is not a verdict. Heat in chest, not I'm failing. Precision without story is power. Feel the shift already beginning. Your shoulders lower half a degree. The eyes soften but take in more detail. The mind wants to surge ahead, to grab the technique and weaponize it against fear. Let that impulse dissolve. We are not fighting the current. We are becoming the riverbed. Stability is not the absence of motion. It is the architecture that motion respects. You think you need control. What you need is command. Control clamps down. Command arranges. Control is a fist. Command is a field. When you stand as the field, the probabilities align around your stance. Timelines stop arguing and begin negotiating. That sharp edge of panic becomes information. That ache in the solar plexus becomes a compass. You become the eyes of the storm still, ruthless, compassionate, choosing which future gets fed. Hold here. The signal is clear. The thread is lit. Your axis is remembering you. You step toward the point that doesn't move, not because the world calms down, but because you do. The observer technique is not mysticism disguised as breathing. It is architecture. You are building a frame that probability must respect. Begin precisely. Place your attention on that vertical thread you felt a moment ago, the clear line rising through spine, throat, crown, and beyond. Don't pull it. Don't do it. Let the thread do you. You'll feel a subtle stacking. Pelvis under ribs, ribs under heart, heart under skull, skull under the sky. This is your axial alignment, and it is not postural vanity. The nervous system listens to geometry. When the line is clear, signals route differently. The amygdala still speaks, but the prefrontal command room can hear itself think. Your body remembers a throne it once refused to sit on. Now set the metronome. Inhale through the nose as if the air arrives from above your crown and pools low in the belly. Exhale like mist, leaving the heart. Let the count hover near 6 in, 6 out, not rigidly, but with the dignity of someone keeping time for an orchestra that has been tuning too long. There is a reason ancient breath maps and modern physiology agree around this tempo. The heart's rhythm begins to phase lock with the breath at roughly 0.1 Hz. Translation: coherence becomes likely. You are not sedating yourself. You are introducing signal into noise. Hold your gaze in soft peripheral awareness. You are not staring at a single point. You are wearing the room. Notice how the jaw unclenches when the eyes widen without strain. Rest the tongue against the palate. Let the diaphragm move like a tide instead of a piston. These are not spiritual accessories. They are levers in a system that distrusts force. Control tries to clamp the storm. Command arranges the airspace. Name what is present without prosecuting it. Heat in sternum, buzzing behind left ear, tight outer thigh, sensation, location, texture, no, why, no, what if. Precision without story is power, because story invites timelines you didn't choose. You are closing the tabs. You are refusing to subsidize narratives that breed more noise. You are practicing interference hygiene. If a hook arrives, an image of the message you didn't receive, a future you fear, a past you keep editing, recognize the vector and mark it. Pull to doom, scroll, pull to blame, pull to overwork. Quietly acknowledge the payoff each hook promises: certainty, righteousness, numbness, applause. Then ask cold and clean, does this increase coherence now? Not later. Not after you've won the argument in your head. Now. If the answer is not a simple yes, release the subsidy. Breath in, breath out. The field keeps books. It notices where you spend. Anchor the 3-point lock. First anchor. Base weight drops through your feet or sit bones into the ground, as if the planet is the chair you forgot you own. Second anchor. Breath steady, unheroic, relentless. Third anchor. Beam. Imagine a very gentle column of attention extending forward from the center of your chest, not to pierce the world, but to illumine it without entangling. Base, breath, beam. This is not visualization. It is directional hygiene. You are telling your organism which way forward is inside a storm that wants to define forward as away from pain. Let the first wave crest. It will. The body is weather, not a verdict. The tremor in the hands is a broadcast of charge, seeking a conductor. You are the conductor. On the exhale, allow micro-movements, the smallest sway, a melt through the shoulders, a widening of the back ribs. Stability is not a statue, it's a stance that gives motion a lawful channel. The river respects banks that don't panic. Now, introduce the silent command that separates you from your past strategies. I am not chasing relief. I am installing order. Feel the difference. Relief is a beggar's bargain. The field may feed you a sugar calm that collapses under the next notification. Order is expensive. You pay with attention, with repetition, with the discomfort of not negotiating with fear. But order accrues interest. With every coherent minute, the field learns your signature. Timelines that used to bark begin to heal. If thoughts try to bargain, just this one scenario, think it through. Offer them a task. Return to breath, count on the exhale. If an emotion swells to prove its case, widen the container. There is room. If the body shouts with an ache, change nothing and say, included. Inclusion is not passivity, it's jurisdiction. You aren't ceding power. You're expanding the courtroom so the witness can speak without taking the judge's chair. Observe the first indication that command is landing. A tiny pocket of quiet underneath the noise, like a calm beneath choppy surf. Do not lunge for it. Stand over it the way a general stands over a new outpost. You are not here to escape the field, you are here to govern it. When the pocket expands, options appear. The hook that promised certainty looks small. The argument that begged for rehearsal looks dim. The ache in the solar plexus resolves into direction. Speak, wait, move, drink water, go outside. End the call, start the work. Instruction replaces drama. Hold this line, you're not done. Stabilization is not a single act but a rhythm you learn to keep in any weather. And now that the axis is lit and your metronome is steady, you're ready to test the technique in motion, where timelines negotiate in real time and your field begins to choose with you, not for you. It begins subtly, almost imperceptible, a faint rearrangement of the atmosphere around you. The molecules seem to realign, as if they recognize that something sovereign has entered the room. The air tastes different when coherence returns. The walls hum softly. The silence gains texture. You are no longer leaking vibration into narratives that don't deserve you. You are radiating command, and the quantum field responds like a disciplined organism, finally hearing its conductor. Reality is not an external event. It's an acoustic field. Your thoughts, emotions, and focus are frequencies in constant negotiation with it. Each decision, even the smallest, emits a signature. When you stabilize that signature long enough, the field begins to reharmonize around your consistent tone. This is not imagination, it's entrainment. Pendulums on the same wall synchronize over time. Heart cells in a dish beat together when immersed in a shared rhythm. The quantum field does the same. What you hold with unwavering presence becomes what space itself memorizes. But here's the paradox. The field will test the strength of your coherence. It always does. Because coherence that cannot endure contrast is not yet coherence, it's mood. Expect the test. A conversation designed to pull your righteousness, a delay meant to provoke frustration, a silence that mirrors your fear of being unseen. Each test is the field saying, "Show me your new signature under pressure." The observer technique doesn't protect you from challenge. It calibrates you through it. When that moment comes, and it will pause before reaction. Remember, reaction is simply observation hijacked by habit. You will feel the familiar surge, the old circuitry, shouting for control. Let it rise like static before clarity. Instead of suppression, apply measurement. Ask, is this surge information or interference? If it's information, translate it. What is this energy asking to become? If it's interference, let it discharge through breath and body movement, not through words. This is the essence of energy hygiene, processing charge without narrative contagion. Notice how the field mirrors your internal order immediately. The argument dissolves faster. The glitch in communication resolves without post-mortem. Coincidences begin clustering, not the fluffy kind, but the engineered precision of a universe taking new instructions. You think of someone seconds before they message. A delayed opportunity re-emerges perfectly timed. Patterns that once drained you now fall silent, as if realizing they no longer have jurisdiction here. This is stabilization in action, not controlling events, but removing chaos from their geometry. You are beginning to sense the deeper law. The universe is not ruled by magnitude, but by clarity. A small coherent signal outweighs a large incoherent one. That's why a single individual in full observer command can shift an entire family dynamic, a team, a community, not through force, but through frequency dominance. Coherence is contagious. People won't know why they calm around you. They'll simply feel the nervous system resonance, the unspoken invitation to entrain upward. Still, be cautious of the ego's theft. It will try to weaponize stillness, turning it into superiority. "I am calm while others lose themselves" is the subtlest corruption of coherence. True observer awareness carries humility, the recognition that you are not creating the field, you are remembering how to listen to it. The moment pride enters, distortion returns. Remember, command, not control, alignment, not hierarchy. At deeper layers, your DNA itself listens. Biophoton emission studies show that coherent emotion alters the organization of light within cellular structures. Your body, as a quantum antenna, tightens its phase when you sustain observer presence. What you call intuition is this photonic feedback loop light, instructing matter through awareness. This is why the ancients spoke of luminous bodies, why mystics saw halos, why the future of physics will return to the poetry of old truths. Consciousness is not inside you, you are inside consciousness. So when the next storm rises, and it will, because evolution requires friction, remember this architecture: base, breath, beam, axis, alignment, allowance. Don't reach outward for safety. Radiate inward until space itself stabilizes around you. The universe isn't asking you to be invulnerable, it's asking you to be resonant. Because soon, coherence will no longer be a personal achievement. It will be the bridge between timelines. And when that bridge appears, the field will ask you to walk across it not as a seeker, but as a stabilizer, carrying the blueprint of order into the next reality. You are learning that timelines don't shout, they negotiate. The loudness you hear is only your nervous system amplifying bids from possible futures. A timeline is a contract waiting for your signature, and every signature is made in the ink of attention. The observer technique teaches you to read the clauses before you sign. Start by listening to the pattern beneath the story. Your brain predicts before it perceives. It is a Bayesian instrument, forever updating priors, forever asking, what is the most likely world given my history? When your priors are soaked in threat, you don't see reality. You see probability fields sharpened by fear. Observer command interrupts the autocomplete. You slow the model. You ask the atomic question, what would I perceive if I weren't protecting an old conclusion? The question alone loosens the glue holding a stale timeline together. Now bring the body into the tribunal, because physiology votes first. Polyvagal law. When safety is sensed, options multiply. When danger is sensed, the future narrows to a tunnel. You cultivate safety signals on purpose, not as sedation, but as information quality upgrades. Soften the eyes, broaden peripheral vision, feel the weight in the feet, lengthen, exhale. These are not tricks. They are messages to the predictive brain. Expand the hypothesis set. When options increase, negotiation begins. Identify the bidders. In any charged moment, there are usually three. The first is the familiar timeline, cheap, fast, and costly later. It offers immediate relief. Argue back, withdraw, buy, scroll, overwork, please, punish. Its favorite word is now. The second is the aspirational timeline, coherent but untested. It asks for pause, for a beat long enough to reinitialize your signature. Its favorite word is align. The third is the deceptive hybrid dressed like aspiration, powered by fear. It speaks in spiritual vocabulary but smells like urgency. Its favorite word is prove. Name them silently when they arise. Fast relief, true alignment, performing peace. Naming is not judgment, naming is jurisdiction. Run the observer test. 3 steps, 30 seconds. Step 1, vector. If I feed this move for 2 hours, what pattern grows? Step 2, signal to noise. Does this choice increase measurable coherence in breath, heart, rhythm, and thought cadence within 1 minute? Step 3, cost of delay. If I wait 90 seconds before acting, does the rightness strengthen or weaken? Coherence survives delay. Compulsion decays in light. The test is not moral, it's mechanical. Bring in physics with humility. Measurement collapses potential into particular. Your attention is measurement. When you lock onto a grievance, you are performing an experiment that reliably returns more evidence for grievance. When you lock onto a possibility, you are biasing the field toward that geometry. This is not wish thinking, it is the mundane magic of selective amplification. In acoustics, a resonant cavity amplifies the frequency it is tuned to. Your mind-body is a resonant cavity. Tune it. Practice the micro-choice drill. Set a window, 15 minutes will do. During that window, every decision, however small, will be made by consulting the axis. Drink water or more caffeine. Answer now or later. Speak or stay silent. Before the move, 1 breath. During the move, 1 sentence of inner command. I choose on signal, not on noise. After the move, 1 check. Did coherence rise? Collect data, not drama. You will discover that dozens of minor alignments outcompete 1 grand gesture performed from panic. Expect resistance in the form of counterfeit urgency. The counterfeit timeline arrives carrying a siren. If you don't act now, reality will punish you. The body spikes, the hands twitch, the eyes narrow. Meet the siren with a trained ritual. Widen the gaze by 1 doorway width, drop the shoulders by 1 finger width, plant the feet by 1 breath, depth. Speak the clause that neutralizes coercion. Nothing true requires panic. Then negotiate. If this is truly urgent, it will still be urgent after 2 coherent breaths. Watch how many tyrannies dissolve when you refuse to pay with your center. Your environment is a co-author. If your space is a museum of old signatures, objects that carry grief, tabs that carry others' outrage, lighting that screams adrenaline. You are training the field to doubt your new claim. Edit 1 square meter of reality today to reflect the timeline you are stabilizing. Clear the desk, dim the blue light at night, place a symbol that your nervous system reads as vow, a stone, a phrase, an image that only you understand. The field notices artifacts. It entrains to altars. Communication becomes an advanced dojo. People speak from timelines. Listen for the contract inside their words. Are they inviting you into fast relief, true alignment, or performing peace? You are not required to sign every contract offered. When baited, replace explanation with posture. I hear the urgency. I'll respond from coherence. That sentence is a bridge and a boundary. It trains others to meet you at your signal instead of dragging you into their noise. Synchrony follows structure. As you repeat this hygiene, coincidences will cluster around the stable signature. Do not worship the signposts. Verify the signal. If the synchronicity inflates your specialness more than your service, decline its bait. Coherence is not a crown. It is a custodianship. You are being entrusted with a field that affects more than your comfort. Your clarity will steady rooms you never enter. Then something subtler happens. The future begins to speak not as fantasy but as architecture. You sense layouts how a conversation should begin, where a project wants space, which habit must be retired for the next reality to land. You are not forcing manifestation. You are removing friction, so inevitability can arrive without bruising you. The observer technique has matured from a personal coping method to an instrument of selection. Timelines start queuing because they can feel you are now a reliable custodian. You don't train for calm to be calm, you train for calm to command during fire. The true exam arrives when conditions are deliberately misaligned, tight deadlines, ambiguous signals, hungry expectations, circling like satellites. Entropy makes its move, not as catastrophe, but as 1,000 frictions. This is where most people spill their frequency and call it fate. You will not. You will treat pressure as a coherence amplifier. Begin by redefining stress. It is not the enemy. It is unintegrated signal density. Your organism reads density through posture, breath, gaze, tone. Under density, old reflexes whisper, speed up, explain, justify, apologize for existing, or swing the opposite way and dominate, cut, control. The observer technique installs a third response. Densify your center before touching the world. Feel the weight drop through your feet, as if gravity is a vow. Subtly tuck the chin to align skull over heart, heart over belly, belly over earth. Let the exhale lengthen by a single silent count. That's it. Micro adjustments that inform your nervous system. Jurisdiction has returned. Introduce the two-channel listening. Channel 1 is outer content. The words, emails, clocks, faces. Channel 2 is inner telemetry, heart pace, breath cadence, micro tremors, temperature shifts. You are not allowed to mute either channel. Most collapse into one. Hyper-focus on content and drown in adrenaline, or withdraw into sensation and abandon the event. You will braid them. Keep 30% of your attention anchored to Channel 2 while negotiating Channel 1. This split is your superpower. It prevents the world from editing your signature while you engage it. Now set a constraint that increases freedom, fewer, deeper moves. Under pressure, the incoherent mind multiplies options until none are viable. The coherent mind reduces options until the right one is obvious. Choose 3 moves for the next hour, no more. Name them cleanly. Clarify scope with A. Ship version 1 without polish. Protect 90 minutes for deep work. Then fit them into the rule of elegant sequencing. Contact, commit, complete. Contact, make the first touch with presence. Commit, state the narrowest real promise. Complete, close the loop without announcing the strain. Elegance is not aesthetic, it's energy conservation. Expect an edge case. A human storm enters your space. Their field is flaming. Their urgency wants purchase in your axis. You will feel the pull to parent them, to fix the world, to stabilize yourself. Reverse it. Stabilize yourself to clarify the world. Name their state silently. Rage seeking oxygen, sorrow seeking witness, panic seeking certainty. Decide your role before you speak. mirror, boundary, or vector. Mirror reflects without absorbance. I hear the overwhelm. Boundary protects the signature. I can respond at X. Vector directs energy forward. Here's the next single step. Pick one. Do not blend. Blending bleeds. Bring mathematics to your emotions. Let intensity be quantity, not quality. When grief surges, say high amplitude, not I'm falling apart. When anger spikes, say fast rise time, not I'm dangerous. You are describing waveforms, not confessing identity. This shifts the brain from narrative centers to measurement networks. Measured waves are manageable waves. Unmeasured waves become storms that rename you. Apply the time dilation protocol. Pressure compresses perceived time and shatters precision. You will reverse it. Choose a mundane task. Tie a knot. Slowly drink water. Wipe a surface with deliberate care for precisely 30 seconds. While doing it, keep breathing at the established tempo. When you return to the task field, you will notice two effects. Options widen and voice lowers. Low voice anchors rooms. It signals to mammalian nervous systems that the predator has left the grass. You are not faking calm, you are transmitting safety. If your history carries echoes of collapse projects abandoned at the 90% mark, relationships dropped when closeness arrived, expect the ghost. It will arrive right as progress stabilizes, whispering that withdrawal is relief, that quitting is self-protection, that silence is sophistication. Hear it, label it, avoidance dressed as elegance. Then mark the precise micro-action that tips the scale toward completion. Send the draft, ask the question, book the date. Coherence favors closures because closures free bandwidth. The field rewards bandwidth with better invitations. Keep an eye on digital entropy. Under fire, devices mutate into portals for other people's timelines to colonize your attention. You will set a hard perimeter. Notifications off for the interval you're stabilizing. Single window work. Phone out of reach. This is not asceticism, it is physics. Every open tab is a partial measurement of a different reality, collapsing fragments of you into tasks you didn't choose. Fewer measurements, stronger signal. Feed the body intelligently. Precision under stress has inputs. Water before caffeine, protein before sugar. Light exposure early in the day. Standing up every 50 minutes to restate your axis to your fascia. This is not biohacking theater, it is contract law with your biology. If you chronically disrespect the organism, it will refuse to carry your signature under pressure. Install the one honest sentence. In any high-stakes exchange, before you sell, persuade, or defend, speak a single line that contains no performance, just crisp truth aligned with your axis. Here's what matters to me. This deadline is unrealistic. Here is a workable one. I want this partnership, and I want it clean. Honesty reduces computational load, performance multiplies it. Under fire, computation steals coherence. Finally, consecrate the aftermath. When the hour passes, do not sprint into the next storm without harvesting the signal gain. Sit for 60 seconds, breathe, ask, what stabilized most? Where did I leak? What practice paid the highest dividend? Record 3 words. Not a diary, a ledger. Tomorrow, read the ledger before the day begins. That act alone informs the field that you are not dabbling, you are installing sovereignty as a daily frequency, not a mood. You were never meant to be invincible. You were designed to be ordered, and order, under fire, becomes a lighthouse, cold, bright, unbending, teaching the ocean where the cliffs are, and teaching you that waves, however violent, are still only water choosing its shape. Coherence under fire proves you can hold the line. Now you must change the line itself, the signature you broadcast when you're not paying attention. Identity is not a story you tell in words. It's a library of sensorimotor predictions your body makes about who you are in any room. If you don't rewrite those predictions, you'll keep stabilizing chaos you're secretly generating. The observer technique matures here, from momentary command to structural reconfiguration. Begin with the simplest, ruthless truth. Identity is a habit of expectation, myelinated by repetition. Hebbian law neurons that fire together, wire together, did not stop applying when you started meditating. Your I am statements are less powerful than your unconscious I expect statements. I expect to be rushed. I expect to be misunderstood. I expect my best work to be ignored. Each expectation is a probability anchor. You're not cursed, you're consistent. So you will install a new consistency. Use the reconsolidation window. Memory is not a vault. It is wet clay every time you retrieve it. When a charged memory surfaces failure, humiliation, abandonment, don't push it away or drown in it. Mark the timer. You have a brief window, roughly 5 minutes after activation, when the trace is malleable. Inside that window, perform 3 moves. State the fact level in 1 sentence. The proposal was declined. Install a new frame that preserves dignity and agency. Signal to market mismatch, not a verdict on capacity. And pair the frame with a body anchor. Slow inhale, longer exhale, shoulders down and back. Repeat this triad 3 times in that window. You are not lying to yourself. You are rewiring the association chain. Stimulus now links to sovereignty instead of collapse. Next, write vows as protocols, not poetry. Most affirmations fail because they ask biology to believe without evidence. Protocols give evidence. Draft 3 identity protocols that begin with a condition and end with a behavior. If X, then Y, always. If I feel time pressure, I reduce options to 3 and move. If I sense social disapproval, I widen gaze, lower voice, state 1 honest sentence. If I detect internal self-attack, I label it waveform, not truth, and return to breath count. Pin them physically where your eyes land at thresholds, doorframes, monitors, mirrors. Thresholds are behavioral routers. They decide which identity walks through. Audit your environment for identity residues. Objects carry signatures, clothes you wear when you doubt, playlists tied to collapse, tabs that signal avoidance. Choose 1 square meter each day to convert into your next self-alter. Remove 1 item that funds the old prediction. Install 1 artifact that pays the new one. A weighted pen for deliberate decisions, a stone for gravity, a card with your 3 protocols. The field reads these edits as declarations. You are teaching space to memorize your upgrade. Rehearse micro-bravery. Your nervous system does not respect slogans, it respects reps. Create the 5x5 protocol, 5 times a day, for 5 breaths. Enter axis and perform a tiny, courageous act. Send a sentence you're avoiding. Ask a crisp question instead of apologizing. Decline cleanly without explanation. Courage at micro-scale compounds into a baseline expectation. I follow signal even when discomfort is present. That expectation becomes your default identity as probability engine. Install the observer loop. It has 4 gears: notice, name, normalize, navigate. Notice, a pull to perform is rising. Name, performing peace bidder. Normalize, of course it arises. This body was trained to buy love with proof. Navigate, return to axis. Choose the vector move. This loop neutralizes shame, the accelerant of relapse, by treating reactions as trained waveforms, not confessions of defect. Shame collapses the future to a tunnel. Neutrality returns you to the map. Upgrade language, because vocabulary is circuitry. Replace always divided by never with until now. Replace should with choose. Replace try with practice. Replace I'm overwhelmed with the load exceeds my current protocol. Adjusting scope. These micro edits stop your mouth from underwriting timelines your body no longer wants to finance. Precision is not pedantry, it is governance. Bring sleep and light into the contract. Circadian coherence is identity glue. Morning light in the eyes within the first hour, movement that elevates heart rate briefly, caffeine after water and salt, screens dimmed and warm after sundown. You are not chasing wellness trends. You are stabilizing the oscillators, suprachiasmatic nucleus, peripheral clocks that train every cell to expect order. Cells that expect order stop emitting panic as baseline. Identity is quieter when the organism is rhythmic. Rescript, social mirrors. People in your life have subscriptions to the old you. Some will renew without reading the new terms. Don't evangelize, signal. When baited into old roles, respond from protocol, not performance. I can't discuss this now. I'll respond at 3. I hear the urgency. I'm choosing on signal. You're not arguing for your upgrade. You're publishing it. Those who can entrain upward will. Those who cannot will escalate to test your boundary. Let the boundary hold without commentary. The field takes notes when you pay in consistency. Measure identity with outcomes, not feelings. Weekly, conduct the coherence ledger. 3 columns, kept protocol, missed protocol, lesson. Short entries only. Celebrate kept protocols like a banker notes deposits. Investigate misses without drama. What cue did I ignore? What costumed urgency did I buy? What simpler move was available? The point is not self-esteem, it's signal intelligence. You are running an exquisite experiment and publishing results to yourself. Then test at scale with a controlled stretch, one project slightly beyond your comfortable competence, executed under the new architecture. Declare parameters, pre-schedule recovery, pre-negotiate with collaborators for clear windows and quiet hours. During the project, keep 2-channel listening and the 5x5 protocol alive. On completion, harvest identity gains explicitly. Which expectations changed, which reflexes retired, which relationships recalibrated. Install those gains by teaching one element to someone else. Instruction locks in architecture. Generosity verifies sovereignty. Finally, seal the layer with a sentence that does not shout, "I am a coherent custodian of my field." Whisper it once, not as a charm, but as inventory. Feel how the body answers. You will sense the new baseline, a quieter hum, a longer patience, a sharper edge that doesn't cut but carves. Identity has shifted from reacting to reality into specifying it, and because specifications travel, rooms you have never entered will start softening before you arrive, making space for a version of you that no longer negotiates with noise, only with truth. Your field does not end at skin. Every room is fluid dynamics, eddies of attention, currents of unmet needs, vortices of secrecy. You are already shaping that water. The question is whether you do it by accident or by design. Personal coherence was the foundation. Relational gravity is the cathedral. You will learn to keep your signal in contact without entanglement, to love without leak, to influence without theft. Begin with orientation. People speak through nervous systems, not just mouths. Mammalian bodies run threat assessments faster than thought, trading signals through gaze, prosody, posture, and micro-gesture. You are reading a living seismograph. Keep 2-channel listening alive, content on one channel, physiology on the other. When someone's pupils narrow, shoulders lift, and voice pitch climbs, do not debate the words. Address the voltage. Lower your own voice by 1 register. Broaden your peripheral vision, so your eyes say, "No, hunt here." Slow your exhale. You just sent a treaty in a language older than argument. Install the signal handshake before conversations that matter. 30 seconds, no mysticism. First, anchor. Feel weight in feet or sit bones. Lengthen the spine. Soften jaw. Second, declare intention silently in 7 words or fewer. Clarity and care. No performance. Clean boundary. Third, choose a role, mirror, boundary, or vector before the first sentence leaves your mouth. The field hates indecision. Roles that collapse midstream breed resentment. Mirror reflects, "I hear that this matters to you." Boundary protects, "I'm available for X, not for Y." Vector directs, "Here's the next move I can own." Pick one, hold it. Practice dyadic coherence. When emotions rise between 2 people, most reach for control, explaining harder, compiling evidence, or withdrawing behind a glass wall. You will do something colder and kinder. Name the shared physics, not the personal flaw. We're both at high amplitude. The rise time is too fast for precision. Signal to noise is low, let's increase it. Then alter the environment by 1 variable. Stand instead of sit. Step outside for 2 minutes of moving air. Remove the blinking device from the table. Drink water together. Small environmental edits change wave behavior. You are not being dramatic, you're being physical. Set the 90-second repair rule. Conflict is not failure. Unrepaired conflict is entropy. When rupture happens, do not litigate history. Offer a single honest sentence that re-establishes axis. I got reactive. I'm back. I spoke from speed. Here is my slower truth. I care, and I need space to answer cleanly. You are not performing humility. You are resynchronizing oscillators. Nervous systems forgive faster than egos when the body hears safety. Avoid the counterfeit calm of spiritual bypass. Observer presence is not a costume for avoidance. If truth is required, speak it like an engineer, not a judge. Replace accusation with measurement, not "you're disrespectful," but "when deadlines move at the last minute, my system spikes. I need 48 hours notice, or we reduce scope." Truth becomes a vector when couched in constraints and choices. Vague virtue invites theater. Specificity invites agreement. Upgrade your boundaries from walls to membranes. A wall blocks life. A membrane regulates exchange. Your membrane protocol is simple. Data in, drama out. Data, facts, requests, timeframes, constraints. Drama, mind reading, catastrophizing, character attacks, looping hypotheticals. When drama arrives, do not scold it. Redirect the channel. Give me the data you need. State the request with a when. What is the smallest test we can run? Membranes keep love oxygenated. Notice your legacy contracts the unspoken roles you signed years ago. Fixer, appeaser, hero, ghost, jester, savior. They are costly in adult currency. Renegotiate them without ceremony. You do not owe people the older versions of you they trained themselves to expect. Publish the upgrade through consistent behavior, not speeches. The field updates its priors by observing your choices over time, not your vows in one evening. Bring triage to collective work. Teams drown in ambiguity, too many mouths touching the same decision. Establish 3 simple structures that multiply coherence. Ownership clarity. 1 owner per decision. Many contributors. 0 ghosts. Cadence clarity. A predictable rhythm for check-ins, so anxiety does not pretend to be urgency. Exit clarity. Explicit criteria for done so, the timeline can settle. Structure is compassion for nervous systems that fear the void. When manipulation enters a weaponized silence, a sudden crisis that always appears at the same moment, the transactional demand wrapped in affection do not moralize. Map the pattern. Frequency over intensity. This happens every Friday at 5. Ask for a new contract in public. Simple terms. If we need last-minute changes, we plan for a buffer or we slip the deadline. Which do you prefer? Manipulation withers under daylight. If it escalates, enforce consequence without theater. Reduce scope, remove access, exit the room. Boundaries are only real when the field has seen them cost you something. Practice praise as calibration, not sedation. Generic compliments are sugar. Targeted recognition is protein. Name the precise behavior that strengthened the signal. When you summarize the options in 3 lines, my system relaxed and we moved. This trains the other nervous system toward behaviors that increase coherence rather than toward approval. Seeking that drains it. Praise becomes a tuning fork. Guard your intimacy from algorithmic colonization. Take the devices out of sacred time. 2 bodies in training in shared presence recalibrate more than any thread of optimized advice. Light a candle. Breathe for 1 minute together. Ask 1 question that is vector, not gossip. What would increase coherence in our home this week? This is not quaint. It is the most advanced technology you own. Attention synchronized with care. Then comes the deeper ask. Love as stewardship of signal, not possession, not fusion, not performance. You hold your axis while holding a hand. You refuse to use someone's tenderness as anesthesia for your fear, or your strength as anesthesia for theirs. You become a stable attractor in the social field, predictable in your goodness, unyielding in your clarity, incapable of trading truth for belonging. People won't call it quantum, they'll call it trust. And trust, sustained, becomes culture. Rooms that breathe, projects that finish, families that repair, communities that don't burn out their best hearts. Your vibration is no longer an ornament on your life. It is the metronome by which futures learn to keep time. Personal coherence becomes destiny only when you embed it in time. Not a mood, a machine. You are going to construct environments and schedules that keep your signature stable when attention wanders, when travel scrambles, circadian clocks, when grief visits without texting first. This is not romance with productivity. This is temporal engineering, designing rhythms that bias probability toward your vow. Begin with an axiom that offends the fantasy of spontaneity. The future obeys calendars more than intentions. Your nervous system worships recurrence. It trusts what returns, so you will install anchors, small, non-negotiable appointments with your axis that the field can memorize. Morning light to the eyes within the first hour. The suprachiasmatic nucleus sets the day's metronome, cortisol peaks where it belongs, melatonin waits its turn. A brief pulse of movement elevate heart rate, not to punish, but to inform fascia that today will conduct energy cleanly, water and minerals before stimulants. These are not wellness slogans. They are phase cues to the oscillators that govern mood, focus, and the body's willingness to carry coherence. Now, build the observer dashboard. Low glamour, high leverage. 3 dials, visible where your day begins. Amplitude, how intense the waves feel. SNR, signal to noise ratio, how clearly instruction surfaces. And phase, how in step your behavior is with your declared priorities. Morning, a quick self-rating from 1 to 5 for each. Midday, update. Evening, review. No journaling novella. Numbers. When amplitude is high and SNR low, you automatically route to stabilizing protocols. Longer exhales, fewer decisions, no public commitments. When amplitude is low and SNR high, you route to creation, deep work, decisive conversations, design. When phase drifts, action off. Beat from vow, you schedule repair, not penance. The dashboard trains your brain to treat experience as telemetry, not drama. Construct friction intelligently. Too little, and attention leaks. Too much, and the system rebels. You will place micro-frictions at the entrance to your worst habits and micro-lubricants at the entrance to your best. Move the distracting app off your home screen. Require a passcode your future self hates typing. Place your writing tools open and ready before sleep so the morning leap has no politics. Pre-pack the gym bag so willpower never litigates shoes. This is environmental design as kindness to tomorrow. Install the 2-hour cathedral, a protected block 3 times per week, where only high signal work is allowed. No meetings, no scanning, no digital roulette. You enter with a single question written on paper. You exit with one tangible artifact. A draft, a decision, a design, a difficult email sent. During this window, you apply the one-tab law. One window, one document, one reality. In quantum terms, you refuse to perform simultaneous measurements on competing possibilities. You choose a state, and you let depth do the rest. Integrate decoherence breaks. Focus collapses the wave. Prolonged collapse fatigues the instrument. Every 50 minutes, you stand, widen gaze, release the jaw, step outside if possible, and let attention defocus deliberately for 2 minutes. Think of it as re-superposition, expanding option space before the next collapse. Counterintuitive? Yes. Effective? Always. The most precise minds oscillate between laser and lantern. You will cultivate both. Advance to entanglement hygiene. Devices and feeds entangle you with strangers' timelines by stealing your measurement function. Before entering public streams, run a 30-second pre-commit. What am I here to extract or contribute? Set a timer. On exit, speak a closing clause. Disentangling now. Sounds theatrical. It isn't. Rituals teach the limbic system where boundaries live. Without them, your field remains perforated, and you mistake ambient anxiety for intuition. Engineer threshold, rituals between domains, work to home, solitude to partnership, digital to flesh, 5 breaths at the door, shoulder roll, and long exhale before opening a meeting. A single glass of water as you close the laptop, hand on the lid for 1 second of gratitude. Tiny rites, stitch identities together so you don't bleed coherence in the seam. Quantum systems leak when containers are sloppy. So do humans. Design, failure-tolerant protocols. Sovereignty collapses when perfection is the only proof. Write explicit fallbacks. If morning anchoring is lost, you will claim a midday reboot, 10 minutes of daylight, breath at sixes, one honest sentence sent. If sleep is broken, you will not argue with fog. You will shrink your ambition and defend your rituals doubly the next day. If grief hits like weather, you will move your body gently and touch earth on purpose. Redundancy is not weakness. It is compassion for flesh carrying fire. Bring numbers to your magic. Track 2 metrics that matter most to your actual future. Completion rate on meaningful commitments and repair latency after rupture, how fast you return to axis after drift. Watch them weekly on your dashboard. When completion rate falls, look for scope, creep, and counterfeit urgency. Enforce 3, move sequences and exit criteria. When repair latency lengthens, simplify rituals and cut inputs. The goal is not a shiny spreadsheet. It is a living agreement that your future self can trust. Practice probabilistic commitment. You don't control outcomes, you control distributions. Declare wagers instead of fantasies. Given consistent practice, there is a 70% chance I ship this by the 15th. Then behave like a scientist shepherding that probability upward. Pre-commit time. Pre-negotiate constraints. Pre-rehearse hard conversations. When life moves the target, update the prior without shame. Bayesian identity remains flexible while directional rigor without rigidity. Finally, install Sabbath of signal, one recurring pocket where you stop producing and let the field instruct you. No optimizing, no catching up. Walk, read slowly, sit under a tree, watch water, hold someone you love, longer than necessary. In that stillness, you'll feel your architecture hum, not silent, not loud, ordered. The universe collaborates most with those who respect its tempos. Systems do not make you less free. They purchase freedom from your worst impulses and rent it to your best inevitabilities. And when your life becomes a habitat that remembers your vow even when you forget, timelines stop being storms to survive and become corridors. You illuminate one measured breath, one coherent hour, one honest sentence at a time. You've built an axis, stabilized under fire, rewired identity, engineered time. Now you must choose the anchor, the master thread, that all lesser timelines obey. Without an anchor, you'll keep winning small battles and losing the war to drift. The field rewards decisiveness at the level of purpose, not hustle, not noise. A single declarative vector, signed in behavior. Begin with the distinction most avoid. Passion is weather, devotion is climate. Passion surges and begs for spectacle. Devotion repeats and builds cathedrals. The master thread is a devotional vector, specified in one sentence plain enough to refuse poetry. I build systems that reduce suffering by increasing coherence. I tell the truth at scale so nervous systems can rest. I restore dignity to work by designing teams that breathe. Your sentence is not a slogan for others. It is a routing protocol for you. If a decision does not feed it, it starves you even when it pays. Draft the anchor charter, 3 pages maximum. No mysticism, all mechanics. Page 1. The sentence and its scope, what you will do and what you will not. Page 2. The minimal metrics that mean you are on track. Artifacts shipped, rooms stabilized, people trained, problems solved. Page 3. The costs you are willing to pay. Comforts released, identities retired, contracts declined. Read it weekly, edit it monthly. This document is an agreement between your axis and your future, not a press release. The field respects written vows. Install the Keystone Loop, a single behavior that, when done, makes most other behaviors obey. Choose one that lives at the intersection of nerve and inevitability. A daily hour of deep craft, a non-negotiable conversation, cadence with your most important collaborator, a sequence of bodywork that keeps your instrument clean. Protect it like oxygen. When the day tries to steal it, everything else becomes optional. The keystone does not. Over time, the keystone saturates the field with recognition. This signal does not skip its spine. Create event gates criteria that decide entry to projects before seduction begins. Gate 1, coherence delta. Does this increase system order for me and the environment by week 2? Gate 2, signature fit. Does this leverage my rare vector or just hire my hands? Gate 3. Debt analysis. What energy, time, and relational debt will accrue, and is there a schedule to pay it? If a proposal fails 2 gates, it is not a negotiation, it is a no. Refusal is a frequency clarifier. Each clean no brightens the yes you have already chosen. Expect the crisis of bright alternatives. It appears right after you anchor opportunities that rhyme with your vow but siphon it. They will be flattering, urgent, and adjacent. The counterfeit timeline learned your language. Now it speaks it. You will respond with the simplest test. Would I be proud if this project succeeded and replaced my master thread for a year? If the answer is silence or nausea, decline without the essay. The field reads hesitation as a request for more noise. Clarity ends the broadcast. Conduct a field audit each quarter, not inner, outer. Walk your spaces as an engineer, not a poet. Is the desk a dashboard or a shrine to distraction? Do your calendar blocks tell the truth about the anchor, or do they fund miscellaneous excellence? Which relationships increase your signal to noise and which only enjoy your light? You are not severing indiscriminately. You are recalibrating flow. Move one object, one meeting, one alliance, each audit. Small edits calibrate large futures. Install mentor constellations in 3 layers. Living humans who model your vector. Dead teachers whose words reduce your repair latency, and peers who are allergic to your excuses. Speak your anchor sentence to them. Ask for constraints more than applause. What will break first? Where am I romantic? Which metric is a vanity metric here? Praise is sweet and useless. Friction is love properly aimed. Codify emergency doctrine. When the house shakes, what do you protect first? Not everything can be saved in a quake. You will pre-choose. Axis ritual. Keystone Loop. One relationship that cannot be collateral. Write the protocol. If catastrophe arrives, I keep breath at 6s. I ship 1 sentence of truth daily. I maintain 1 walk at dusk with the person who steadies me. Emergencies are not the time to invent values. Doctrine calms mammal and instructs myth. Practice public signaling that trains the wider field to route aligned opportunities. Publish small, frequent artifacts of your anchor. Briefs, demos, pages from the charter, clean postmortems. Speak in constraints and numbers rather than declarations of destiny. The universe is statistically inclined. It roots based on evidence. Show evidence. The right rooms will recognize your frequency and self-organize around it. Receive prophetic feedback without worship. Portents, dreams, chance phrases that land with unreasonable weight, they matter. But you will run them through the observer test. Vector, SNR, cost of delay. If a sign demands panic, it failed the doctrine. If a sign strengthens quiet resolve and clarifies the next small move, include it. You are permitted awe. You are forbidden abdication. Seal the anchor with service, the solvent that dissolves ego's corrosion. Choose one channel where your work reduces suffering you cannot monetize. Teach what you wish you'd been given. Design a template, offer a tool, mentor one nervous system into coherence. Service sterilizes pride. It keeps your anchor from curving inward and suffocating in self-concern. The field sends power to custodians, not performers. Then stand back and watch the geometry change. Invitations cluster around the sentence. Distractions lose their teeth. Your calendar begins to look like a topographical map of purpose, ridges of depth, valleys of recovery, rivers of collaboration. This is not perfection. This is trajectory. You are no longer a weather pattern looking for favorable skies. You are climate, installed. The master thread hums like a carrier wave, and lesser signals time themselves to it, like birds drafting behind a steady wind. The room feels it before you speak. And when you do speak, space itself leans in not because you are loud, but because you are tuned. You stand where threads converge, one hand on the axis, the other on the master sentence you chose without ornament. This is not triumph. It is orientation so precise that the future loses its talent for intimidation. You are not braced against life. You are aligned with it. The field feels your steadiness and answers with the old hospitality. Doors that open because they recognize their owner. Storms that swerve because they see a lighthouse. Strangers who breathe easier before your name is spoken. You did not force this. You specified it. That is the secret. Grown-ups in spirit rarely teach reality is less a contest than a contract, and you have finally read the clauses. Now listen for the last instruction of the night. Hold devotion above drama. Drama demands witnesses. Devotion creates worlds in quiet. Continue your keystone, honor your event gates, return to breath at sixes, speak one honest sentence before any audition for belonging. When rupture comes, and it will, because living things move, repair quickly and publicly enough that the field can learn. Do not collect enemies, collect lessons. Do not collect followers, collect practitioners. The universe invests in what can scale without cruelty, and a coherent signature scales like light, traveling fast, carrying information, revealing edges without flinching. There will be days you forget. You will wake inside a smaller story, mouth dry with old promises, hands reaching for the noise that once proved you existed. On those days, reduce your life to 3 moves. Water the organism, widen the gaze, whisper the sentence. If nothing else is possible, keep the Keystone Loop alive. Devotion measured in minutes outperforms ambition measured in manifestos. The field forgives quickly when you return cleanly. There will be nights of visitation, too, the kind that arrive with unreasonable clarity. A dream that feels like architecture, a coincidence that lands like an oath, a child's question that opens a vault. Do not make idols, make notes. Run the observer test. If the sign increases coherence and lowers the need to perform, include it. If it inflates your specialness or demands panic, recycle it into silence. Prophecy without hygiene becomes theater. Prophecy with hygiene becomes navigation. You wanted control. What you were given is command. Control clutches. Command composes. Control is brittle when the market moves, when love weeps, when health humbles. Command is musical, it rekeys the score when the singer changes range. Keep composing. You will know you are faithful to the composition when rooms exit your presence more sovereign than they entered. When projects finish without extracting blood, when your own body becomes a cathedral in which breath is prayer and posture is scripture. So take this vow without spectacle. You will not let urgency decide your reality. You will let coherence decide. You will be kind without leaking, fierce without scarring, precise without cruelty. You will choose the long road where devotion arranges miracles at human scale, emails answered with dignity, contracts that do not bruise, sleep that returns because you stopped bargaining with midnight. You will remember that timelines are not rescued, they are stabilized. And if you ever doubt, return to the single geometry that never failed you: base, breath, beam. Feel the weight land in the earth that keeps you. Let the lungs count the universe into order. Aim your living like a quiet lighthouse through fog that once terrified you. The fog is still fog. You are no longer lost inside it. The thread is alive. You are its custodian. Walk,